Peace in the world seems to be fading away. Big countries are constantly fighting, and it's becoming clearer who are friends and who are enemies. Wars are happening, like one in Ukraine and now another one in Israel. The United States is deeply involved in both of these conflicts, and they must be getting tired of it. But now, they've decided it's time to use their most powerful weapon to help their friends win and make sure their enemies don't stand a chance. They're sending out their $13 billion aircraft carrier, the biggest and most expensive one ever made. So the message is clear. The USS Gerald Ford is on its way, and anyone who's causing trouble better watch out. But why has the US supercarrier made its way to Israel? And what unique challenges and opportunities does this arrival bring to the table? What does this mean for politics, international relations, and the future of war at sea? Well, let's find out. Imagine a colossal warship, the biggest of its kind globally, standing tall and unmatched on the open seas. This incredible vessel is none other than the USS Gerald R. Ford, a brand new class of US Navy aircraft carrier. But what makes it even more impressive is that it's nuclear powered, which means it can go really far without needing to refuel. It's a floating airfield with advanced capabilities and enough firepower to deter potential threats from miles away. Recently, this massive ship embarked on its very first mission, and it's quite a journey. It sailed all the way from North America to Europe, and it's not just a casual trip. The USS Gerald R. Ford is on a mission to team up with NATO allies for training and cooperation, highlighting the importance of this mighty vessel on the world stage. The journey across the Atlantic began in Halifax, Canada, retracing a path that was originally carved out by Canadian and American merchant ships more than 80 years ago during World War II. Back then, Canadians, Americans, and our allies fought together to make sure the seas were safe for everyone. It wasn't easy. They faced rough waters and determined enemies, but played a crucial role in the war effort. The aircraft carriers have come a long way since they were first introduced. They used to be a lot smaller and not as strong. What changed the game was when they started using nuclear power, which meant they could go anywhere in the world without worrying about running out of fuel. Another big improvement was the introduction of steam-powered catapults that could launch heavy fighter planes off the deck. These aircraft carriers became common in many allied navies like France and the United Kingdom. When they go on a mission, they bring a bunch of other warships with them to help protect the aircraft carrier. These ships are like a circle of steel, making sure nothing gets close to the carrier. You see, this ship is not just any old ship. It's part of a new generation of American aircraft carriers. Picture it as a floating airport that's also a powerhouse of military strength. It's got so much firepower that just looking at it is enough to make potential troublemakers think twice. So the USS Gerald R. Ford was put into service in 2017 and is the first of a new kind of ship, different from any before it. According to the US Navy, it's the most advanced carrier ever built, but what makes it so special? Well, it's got some brand new stuff under the hood. The way it moves, called its propulsion system, is all new. It also has a new way of distributing electricity. One cool thing is that it needs a smaller crew because it's designed to require less maintenance. This makes it more efficient and powerful. Most aircraft carriers use steam-powered catapults to launch their planes off the deck. But the Ford is different. It uses an electromagnetic aircraft launch system. It's like a super strong magnetic push that gets the planes into the air. This new system can handle planes of different sizes, including smaller ones, which they plan to use more of in the future. This means less wear and tear on the planes and lower costs in the long run. On this high-tech floating runway, you'll find around 60 planes, each with its own special job to do. Some are strike fighters, others are for surveillance, and some are helicopters. But here's the catch. These planes can't fly without pilots. Let's meet the Reagan Bulls, a bunch of tough naval aviators on board the USS Gerald R. Ford. They go through intense training to do everything from bombing missions to keeping watch in the sky and even refueling other planes mid-air, but being a pilot on a ship like this isn't easy. About an hour before they take off, they get suited up in their flight gear. Then it's off to the flight deck, which is a busy and dangerous place. Once in the plane, they run a bunch of checks to make sure everything is working perfectly. And then comes the moment they've been waiting for, the catapult shot, which is like a high-speed launch into the sky. It's a lot of hard work, but it's what these pilots are trained to do, and it's pretty amazing. Imagine being a pilot landing on a tiny floating strip in the middle of a huge wild ocean. That's what these amazing Navy pilots do to make this happen. They use a special tailhook to catch a thick steel cable, which brings their high-speed plane to a screeching stop in just a few seconds. Landing on an aircraft carrier is no walk in the park. It's tough and requires a ton of technology to help. Right before they touch down on the carrier, the pilots make small adjustments to make sure they're coming in for a smooth landing. All that practice and training pays off because there's no room for panic or uncertainty when you're landing on a moving platform in the middle of the ocean. The USS Gerald R. Ford is not just a ship, it's like a floating city. You've got 4,000 sailors on board, turning it into an office, a place to eat, a gym, and even a home. And because it's so huge, it needs tons of stuff to keep going. Such a massive ship goes through supplies really fast, so they have to do these tricky operations at sea to refuel and restock everything, even bringing in things like jet fuel and mail from home using pulleys and helicopters. The Ford has crossed the Atlantic Ocean and is now off the coast of Portugal, accompanied by ships from 6 other NATO countries. These ships are here to protect the carrier and add even more firepower for the training exercises they're doing. It's been a long journey, but now it's time to kick things into high gear and see what this massive warship can do. The aircraft carrier is a busy place, with jets taking off day and night for training missions. They practice things like intercepting other aircraft, attacking targets on the water, and hunting submarines. It's all part of getting ready for the real deal. As the exercise nears its end and the Ford gets ready to dock in Portsmouth, England, the flight deck becomes a bit emotional. Some of the naval aviators on board are making their last landings on an aircraft carrier in their careers. It's a bittersweet moment as they finish this chapter of their lives. While the journey for these aviators has come to an end, the USS Gerald R. Ford is embarking on a new chapter. Shortly after this mission, the Ford sailed back to European waters for a more extended stay, where it's following orders from NATO. This gigantic warship, with its incredible range and strength, now takes the lead in helping other allied navies in a very important job. Its main task is to stop any bad actions from happening and, if needed, protect NATO countries from outside threats. In these uncertain times, the world's largest warship is like a watchful guardian in Europe, always ready to keep things safe and secure. About 3 weeks after the war started between Israel and Hamas, there's been a significant increase in the number of U.S. Navy ships and personnel in the Mediterranean. They have more than 15 surface vessels and over 15,000 soldiers, not counting the escort submarines. This shows that the United States is really concerned about the possibility of the situation in the region getting worse, especially with regard to Iran. Currently, the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, which set sail from Norfolk, Virginia, is in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Originally, it was supposed to replace the USS Gerald R. Ford, the first aircraft carrier that was already in the Mediterranean, which was diverted to Cyprus on October 9th, the day after the Hamas attacks. The USS Gerald R. Ford is the newest and biggest of the U.S. Navy's 11 aircraft carriers, so they decided to keep it at sea. This shows just how serious the situation is in that part of the world. Now, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this historic event? How do you think the presence of the supercarrier will impact the dynamics of the Middle East? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more. Thank you for watching.